Yes, hello everyone, Falchis, Jockety, Cúilín Media, welcome back. We have a very special episode today. We are live in studio for the first time since we set up the page. My name is Séamus Brady, I'm the man behind On Cluiche. I'm joined by Prendergast, the man behind Gaelic Games Fan TV, joined by Liam White, the man behind the Faithful Podcast, and joined by Matthew Hurley to my right, the man behind the Gaelic Stats Man. Gentlemen, it's good to be here. Aaron, I'll go to you first. We are doing the National League's preview for 2026. This episode is going to focus specifically on the men's Gaelic football divisions. We are also going to do a separate episode for the hurling, and we're also going to do a separate episode for the LGFA as well. We have something special in line as well for the Camogie, given that it is a month away from when we're recording this episode. We are getting a special guest on to join us, and that one will be live on the Cúilín Media YouTube channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. But anyway, lads, we're here in studio today. Aaron, how we keep him, man. It's good to finally be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like we've obviously been planning this for, like a good couple of months. First time I got to meet Matthew and Liam in person as well, which is kind of mad considering we've all been making content for a long time. But yeah, no, looking forward to getting into the preview. Like there's a lot to discuss, a lot to predict. So yeah, no, looking forward to getting into it, lads.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and first time meeting Matthew and yourself. I've met Séamus before, and thankfully it was
not on a good day. It was when Offaly beat Dublin, was it?
No, it was when Offaly beat Kildare in the football.
Okay.
No, that Offaly Dublin was completely separate. But no, it's good being here, and yeah, we're taking Cúilín to the next level, anyways. And yeah, it's great to see that the league campaign is back. It's great to see the intercounty games back. Hopefully, none of them this year are decided by coin tosses over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, no, look forward to getting into it.
Yeah, definitely looking forward to it, and great to beat the two lads today as well. And yeah, it's just brilliant that the league is throwing in and things like that. Obviously, with all the divisions, the doubt LGFA as well. With LGFA, there's going to be the new rules as well, which is very interesting to look at. So yeah, a lot of interesting things across all divisions, and definitely looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, let's not waste any more time, lads. Let's jump right in. So the National Football Leagues, I mean, let's be honest, lads, interest in the games, interest in getting involved in discussion around Gaelic games, it always explodes when the National Leagues come back. The first few weeks of the league is when people are so full of optimism about what the year ahead brings. And I think it's the top two divisions, I think, across all four codes that generate the most debate. And let's jump right in with Division 1. So we have plenty to get through here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go alphabetically through each of the counties that are in Division 1, go through what we expect from them, and then give them our position that we put them in our predicted table. And then at the end, we'll run back through what we have picked in total so that you aren't lost along the way. And alphabetically, lads, the first county up is the 2024 All-Ireland Senior Football Champions, Armagh. Kieran McGeeney still at the helm. Aaron, what are you expecting from Armagh this year?
Yeah, I think it's going to be an interesting year for Armagh. They are going to be missing some key players, as we said. There's going to be no Rian O'Neill throughout the league. Stephen Campbell won't be there as well. Noel Grimley, Jamar Hall have all retired as well. So there is going to be plenty of change within Armagh football. Like Rory Grugan, I think, is out injured as well, so that's going to be a big blow. And I think for Armagh in general as well, like especially with the fact that they have a preliminary round Ulster game versus Tyrone, like I do think there is going to be. I think the main focus for Armagh really is just to stay in the league. Don't think there's going to be a huge amount of interest in getting to a league final because to have that game a week before you play Tyrone, we've saw with Donegal and other teams in the past as well. So. Yeah, I think Armagh, like I think they'll be fine in terms of I think there'll be very little between a lot of teams down near the bottom. But in terms of a prediction, in terms of where I have them, like I have them in fifth with 6 points. So I think they'll be okay. But again, like I think there'll be very little between a lot of teams down at the bottom.
Yeah, so Aaron has given his position. Liam, what are you expecting from Armagh this campaign?
Weirdly, I actually think they're going to finish second. I don't know what it is. I think just after last year, the way the Football League ran, it was so weird. You had Tyrone finishing seventh when they probably shouldn't have, and then you had Mayo in the league final when they probably shouldn't have been there. It was so complicated the way it ended in the end. And I think it's going to kind of be similar enough this year with a lot of teams. I think there's, without going into too much spoilers, there's probably one team I can probably say is going down, but after that then it's a guess who. It's a ridiculous amount of teams there that could easily get to a final, could easily finish middle, could easily go down. But I think for Armagh, weirdly, I have a feeling that McGeeney this year will be going all guns blazing to try and win everything this year. He might be looking at the Kerry model last year and thinking, you know what, winning the league for them did them absolutely no harm, and then they went on to win the Munster Championship, which is for them probably a bit more considerably easy realistically their only competition is Cork compared to Armagh, who have to beat Tyrone, Donegal, Derry, Down, Monaghan, all these types of teams. But I have a weird feeling, I know, like I said, Rian O'Neill's not there this year is a big miss, especially you saw the impact that he had last year, particularly in games against Dublin and Croke Park, etc. But I have a weird feeling that we'll be getting Armagh in a league final. I just feel like maybe they'll be looking at the Kerry model last year. Obviously they have some tough games. Monaghan away from home on the first day is not simple at all. But yeah, I have a weird feeling Armagh could actually be okay this year, and especially after losing out in the quarter-final last year in the All-Ireland, losing out in the Ulster final, I have a feeling McGinney this year will feel like there's more that this team can win, and they might be going all out this year.
When you think about Matthew, when you think about how Armagh left last season, the way that they kind of fell apart in that second half against Kerry, they have a lot to put right this year. So I do see where Liam's coming from in terms of his. They have something to prove this year that 2024 All-Ireland wasn't a bolt from the blue. Yeah,
exactly. So, and I suppose in a way, I could see why many people would say Armagh will struggle. Like Rian O'Neill is the loss, Rory Grugan is the loss as well. But there are other players that are stepping up. You look at Oisin O'Neill. I know the McKenna Cup, you can't really read too much into it because of the controversy over the last few weeks. But Oisin O'Neill has done really well. Tiernan Kelly has done really well. I think Callum O'Neill around the middle of the park, especially last year, did very well. Tomas McCormack. So there's you players there that will want to make a name for themselves with Armagh. I have them in third. I just feel like they'd want to go into the championship in a kind of good momentum, but not necessarily, as Ard just said there, get to a league final because of the Tyrone game in Ulster. I just feel like once it comes down the home stretch, they won't be hungry enough for a league final, so I'd have them in third. But there are other players there to step up from an Armagh point of view.
Yes. Did we get your prediction, Liam, or did you somehow?
Second.
Second. Oh yeah, sorry, you said that right at the beginning. I don't know how that slipped in. Yeah, don't know how that slipped through the cracks. First bombshell from me, lads. I actually have Armagh going down.
Oh, wow.
I actually have Armagh in seventh. I genuinely believe when you're spelling out the players that are not there, no Rian O'Neill, no Rory Grugan, no Stephen Campbell, and players like Jamar Hall, who are now not with the panel, the ingredients that they added was the significant squad depth that Armagh would use to get them over the line in tight games when substitutes were needed and everything like that. I strongly believe that in the tight games, especially you look at some of the fixtures that they have, one of the games that Armagh might be highlighting that they need to win is maybe against Monaghan. They're away to Monaghan. That's going to be a really difficult game to win in round one. If they lose that game, they're on the back foot. Then they have Galway. That would be a very difficult one. Roscommon, they have them in the hide. Like, and Roscommon will no doubt be highlighting that one as they need to win their home games if they want to stay up. I think it will be difficult for Armagh to get the points that they need. I actually think they're going to slip under. It's a brave pick, but I just think the players that they're missing, no Grugan, no Rian O'Neill, maybe he'll return. You don't know, maybe at some point in the year he'll return like he did last season. But I strongly think that this might be the year. I just think it's not a knock on them. It's how high the standard is. Like last season, Tyrone got 7 points in Division 1.
And they still went down.
And they still went down. Like at one point on that final day, they were in the final. And then they ended up going down. It's just how tight Division 1 is and how there is no room for mistakes. And I think Armagh missing some key players and having some really tough games at the start might be enough to take them under. But so I'm going for them in seventh. It's a brave pick to start us off.
That's why we're here.
Our next one, lads, Donegal, the Ulster champions, back-to-back Ulster champions. Obviously, they've had an interesting off-season. Jim McGuinness is still the manager, which I think is a massive plus for the game. It adds a lot when Jimmy is at the helm in Donegal. Paddy McBrearty, of course, standing out as their obvious retirement and absentee heading into the new year. But what are we expecting from the Tír Connell men? I will go to you, Matthew, first for this one.
I actually feel like Donegal will win Division 1 this year. I just feel like they have something to prove. They want a national trophy, whereas you look at other teams in there, Dublin, Kerry, they've won national trophies before, so will there be the hunger there? I'm not entirely sure. Yes, Paddy McBrearty's left the panel, and that is a huge loss in terms of experience. But I think in terms of playing time, he didn't have much last season. Like, it was mostly Conor O'Donnell, Shane O'Donnell that were really excelling. Kieran Thompson as well, other than Michael Murphy. And Michael Murphy still stuck around, which is a plus for them as well. Finbar Roarty is a year older. That's another positive from a Donegal point of view. And I feel like if they are to progress to the next level, they won 2 Ulster titles in a row. They need to get a national trophy on the board, and I feel like getting a Division 1 title would be a good start to the year for McGuinness and for Donegal.
It's very strongly put. It's very difficult to argue when you put it like that. I'll give my prediction next just to shake it up, everything like that. I've gone with Donegal in third place. I think their first 2 games will tell us all that we need to know. They have Dublin in Croke Park. That will be a tough game. And then they have Kerry at home in Ballyshannon. If they win those 2, I think we're off to the races with Jim McGuinness in this Donegal. However, Donegal started last year's league like a house on fire, and they really, really look like, remember Michael Murphy coming off the bench against Armagh? They won that game. Everyone's saying Donegal are going to romp to the All-Ireland this year because they just cooled the jets a little bit halfway through the league. And then the whole talk, which I think they kind of pushed a little bit as well, of that, the league isn't the be-all and end-all. And by the way, can we stop that this year? Please, if we start that again this year across the media of no one really wants to get to the league final, then please don't be surprised when the attendance in the league final is not good. We should be pushing the league final, pushing the league as the massive competition that it is. 2016, Dublin and Kerry played in the league final. 82,300 people, sell out. A league final can be a massive, massive occasion, but we have to give it the time in the calendar to be that big competition that it is. Because the reality is, last season, the competition was so packed in and right before the championship. So you had coaches speculating about who cares if they get to the league final. You had literally people broadcasting the game talking about who cares if they get to the league final. No one really wants to get to this league final. So if you're saying that to the fans, especially when it ended up being Kerry and Mayo, who it's a big journey for them to get to Croke Park, you think about how much it costs, the accommodation, the petrol, the ticket, everything. If you're telling them time after time after time when they watch that no one really cares about getting to this league final, they're actually focused on the championship instead, why would fans go out of their way to spend so much money to go to a game that no one really cares about? Dublin Kerry in 2016 in the league final was a sellout because we believed that the teams really, really wanted to win that competition, and they did want to win that competition. So that's one thing going forward this year. The calendar's still tight, it's still compressed, but it's our job as the media to hype this competition up, not quieten it down.
Absolutely. No, and especially last year when the ticket prices as well for the league games went up as well. You're thinking to yourself, well, you're just driving people away when people want to go and watch these games. They want to go and see new players. They want to go see new faces and link up as well. Especially after Christmas, you might have seen a few people. You might not have seen other people as well because they'll be all home with their families. You want to go up and link and watch these games no matter where they are and go on journeys. But if they're just going to keep saying, well, it doesn't matter that we lost today, or it doesn't matter. I was at nearly every off-league game last year and I've absolutely no regrets going to any league game because, they're journeys and, you're there to support lads and show them as well that we're not just going to support you on the championship sunny days. We're going to support you in January when it's wet and it's miserable and nobody has any money, and everything like that. That's the backbone of it for me, to be honest.
Okay, but we will need to jump in with we'll need to jump back in with the predictions for where we think people are going to finish. And going back to Donegal, I have them in third place. I think they're going to start strong and it's going to be quite similar to last season. I think the first day out against Dublin, I think they'll lose that, but I think they'll win against Kerry in Ballyshannon, and I think they'll pick up enough results to finish comfortably mid-table, and I think it will be a third place finish where they're fifth or something on the last day and they win one game and they bounce up to third. I think it will be something like that. Aaron, what are you expecting from them?
Yeah, I think they'll finish second. I kind of agree with both of you a little bit. I think with Matthew, I think they'll 100% want to start strong. Right the wrongs of the last couple of seasons. I think as well when you look at who they're playing in Ulster as well, I think they're playing down at the start of Ulster, if my memory serves me correctly. So it's I think last year they went into that preliminary round versus Derry, so that there was a huge kind of focus on that. I actually think the fixture list is quite favourable at the start because they're playing Dublin at the start in Croke Park under new management. I actually think Donegal will win that game. They're playing Kerry at the start as well, when Kerry probably won't have David Clifford or any of their kind of best players playing. They're playing Mayo at the start as well at home. Coincidentally, the only game I actually think they'll lose in the league is actually Monaghan away on the final day, and that's just because I think Monaghan will need to win that game and Donegal won't. So, I think Donegal are looking strong. They'll probably rotate a little bit as well, give a few more younger players a chance, and I think they'll get to the league final.
I think weirdly enough, I think they're going to finish fifth. I think they're going to start off very, very strong, but it's just with Donegal, like last year, I just have a feeling that they're just going to say, do you know what, we have bigger fish to fry, for the Ulster Championship or the All-Ireland Series, and we're maybe not going to take it as seriously towards the end. And maybe they're going to be looking at thinking, right, if we could get wins against the likes of Dublin away from home, get a win against Kerry potentially, then we've set ourselves up really nicely for the year. I could see them going to the Athletic Grounds, and I mean, Armagh at this stage must be sick of Donegal at this stage. So I have a feeling they'll want to get a win against them in some capacity, no matter if it's league, championship, whatever. And then look, I know some of the games, and like you mentioned there, some of the games are favourable. I think they'll beat Roscommon away from home. But then, like you mentioned, I think Monaghan away could be tricky. I think even, to be honest, Galway at home could even be tricky. I don't know what it is. Like, you saw them last year when they played. I know the wind was a big factor, but didn't Galway score 17 points in the first half? And I think Donegal didn't score in the first half. Not that I don't think anything like that's going to happen again, but I just have a weird feeling Galway could go up there and potentially cause a surprise. Like, I didn't expect Tyrone to beat Donegal last year in the league away from home, and they went up and did it. I could see a similar sort of situation happening again. But I could see, like I mentioned, I could see Donegal potentially being up there, like a point or two away from getting to the league final, but I just have a feeling maybe they might just slip away potentially against Monaghan on the final day. But I wouldn't be, if I were them, I wouldn't lose sleep if they were to finish 5th or 4th and like that. If they were to get a couple of wins along the way, I'm sure they'd be happy with that.
Yeah, well, that takes us on nicely to our next team. Aaron, let's try to not be too biased here on this one now, but it is, of course, the Dubs. Of course, the All-Ireland champions of 2023. Dublin coming into this year obviously under new management. Ger Brennan, of course, at the helm, former Louth and successful Leinster champion with Louth. Of course, Brian Fenton has confirmed he is not going to return. That is a huge loss, and players like John Small have also stepped away from the panel in the meantime. Aaron, what are we expecting this year?
Yeah, it's very hard to call with Dublin, to be honest with you. Like, I think you could easily make a case for them getting to a league final. You could easily make a case for them potentially getting relegated as well. It's going to be interesting to see whether the Ger Brennan kind of blueprint within this Dublin team is there to see in the early stages. I've got them in the middle. I've got them in 4th. I think one of the main reasons, to be honest, we've got 4 home games, 3 away games. I think the away games aren't too bad as well. Like, you've got Roscommon away, Mayo away, and Galway away on the final day, which I could see us winning. And as well as that, like, even like home to Kerry, home to Armagh, like they're games that Dublin would get up for and would win, in my opinion. They'd be bang up for that. I've seen them play against Laois in pre-season, and they were very goal heavy. It was very similar to actually watching Louth in that Leinster final. So there's going to be a huge emphasis on goals, huge emphasis on 2-pointers as well. The only thing I would say about Dublin is that I think he is going to change the team around quite a bit. So I think you're going to see Niall O'Callaghan come in quite a lot. I think players like Kevin Stevenson, Robert Shaw, who impressed in pre-season, could be there. Luke Bretnock as well. So it's going to be very interesting to see what way he approaches the league. But I do think we'll be kind of somewhere in the middle. Probably on the final day, we might have a chance to get to a league final. But yeah, I think 4th with 8 points.
Yeah.
I've gone with 6, but it's not. And again, it's sort of similar to Donegal. I could see Dublin actually ramping up and starting well, because I can see Ger Brennan wanting to make a good impression straight away. But like you mentioned there, Dublin are going through such a transitional period in terms of Brian Fenton being gone, McCarthy being gone, John Small being gone now, and they're trying to bring in new, young, exciting players. I actually think Luke Bretnock is going to have a very good league campaign. To be honest, I think he's going to be one of the even potential standout players of the season. But it all depends as well. Look, I'll be honest, Sigerson Cup as well. It depends on who's still in that and who's playing that. You could have Pascal playing, you could have other players that are still playing with their colleges. So it depends on what team he does put out. I hope to see Conor Callahan playing most of the league. I do hope to see that, because I just love watching him play football, and hurling, to be fair. But and you do wonder, Peadar O'Cofaigh Byrne as well. I'd like to see him getting more opportunities as well. I was actually quite impressed with him last year. I think we said it like last year, hypothetically, if there was one Dublin player to get an All-Star last year, I think I chose him, because I thought he put in some consistent performances in the middle of the park. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting this year as well with the goalkeeper situation, who starts in goals from Dublin from the start. I don't know what your opinions on that are. But yeah, I could see them potentially finishing 6th. And like you mentioned there, games against Kerry at Croke Park, but they bet Kerry last year down in Kerry. That's a game they're going to get up for regardless. And Donegal is a strange one. They could easily win that comfortably, or they could end up losing it by a point. Donegal's one of those games for Dublin in Croke Park. But yeah, that is kind of true. I think having 4 home games is going to kind of favour them, but at the same time, teams will be also hyped up going to Croke Park playing against Dublin. They'll want to make a point. And yeah, I could see Ger Brennan, chopping and changing here and there, trying to see what his squad is like. But again, it's similar enough. They could finish second, but the table could just be so weird. Like they could be second on the final day and then end up finishing sixth or fourth or third, whatever. But I'm gone with 6. But to say I'm confident with it would be wrong, as I am for kind of most of these. But I'm going to stick with it for the moment.
Oh, this might shock you. I'm actually going to go Dublin second to get to the league final against Donegal. I just feel like, number one, Aaron mentioned it before, the fixture lists, it's favourable, 4 home games, an away game against Galway at one of the final days. I actually think they'll beat Galway. Galway are really struggling at the moment with players leaving and whatever. You have players wanting to make a name. I think if Niall O'Callaghan starts with Con, that partnership up front could be dangerous for anybody. We've seen them for the 2 of them for Cúilín. They're very, very dangerous. Even in midfield, you talked about Padder Coffey Byrne there. I'm interested to see Eaton Dunn. He plays for DCU, very good player. I'll be interested to see if Ger Brennan actually starts him this year. Theo Clancy, I know he started most of the games for Dublin last year, but it's an opportunity for him to be one of the main guys in the Dublin team as well. And David O'Hanlon, I think either him or Evan Comerford, I'd personally go David O'Hanlon for the Dublin goalkeeper. I seen him down in Park Heave against Cork years ago. Excellent shot stopper and very good kicker over the ball as well. So I feel like there's a lot of Dublin players there that want to make a name for themselves. The fixture list is very, very favourable. I think Dublin will be in the league final by the end of March.
You put it very well there. I'm actually agreeing though with Aaron. I'm saying 4th place. I think we'll have a little bit of good and a little bit of bad in this league. I think it would be very Dublin, especially over the last couple of years, to go away on the last day of the season and beat them and then lose a home game that we're not expected to lose. We have been inconsistent in the past couple of years under Desi. I'd say even the year that we won the All-Ireland, we were inconsistent. We were terrible up until the Mayo game, as we were saying on the way out. We were terrible up until the Mayo game until we decided to click into gear and win the All-Ireland. Obviously now it's different. Ger Brennan's at the helm. But I don't think that changes overnight. I don't think all of a sudden we're going to become ultra consistent. I think Ger Brennan would be happy with a relatively smooth league campaign where we make noticeable progress and where we get a few of those players, like you were talking about, Matthew, players that want to make a name. If we can get the likes, maybe Peter Duffy's another one that I'd love to see get a run out for Dublin. I think he's a fantastic player. Get the likes of Niall O'Callaghan, Theo Clancy more embedded at full back. If we go into the championship with those players very much for the future embedded into the team, I don't really care then about it. That's my priority. I would want to make it that we're not going for short-term success and trying to win this league. We're going for long-term championship success by trying to get these fantastic future players into the team. And they're fantastic now, but we're trying to replace what was the greatest team of all time. We're trying to rotate from that, and we've lost more players with the John Small going and Fenton not coming back. So we are in a transition. Whether we like it or not, we are. We need to build for the future. I think we'll have some good wins, but then some bumps in the road, and I think we'll finish 4th. And lads, that brings us on now to Galway. The Connacht champions heading into another year under Pádraig Joyce. Matthew, you were mentioning there, you were saying you think they're struggling. Do you want to take the lead with this one? Yeah,
I think they'll finish 5th, to be honest with you. Just the murmurings that are going around Galway over the past few weeks. Matthew Thompson is not going to be there for Galway this year. He's on Erasmus over in the States. That's a big, big loss. Young footballer of the year, obviously, absolutely excellent footballer from last season. Tom O'Culhan and Johnny Healy haven't committed to the panel either this year. I think that's a worry for their strength and depth. Like if Shane Walsh gets injured, if Damien Comer gets injured, and they're very good players, but they're very, very injury prone. If one of them goes out, who's going to come in there from a Galway point of view? I'd be concerned about that. And then the goalkeeper kind of thing. Conor Gleeson has done well over the last few seasons, but then could he be replaced? It remains to be seen. And it's going to be very interesting with Pádraig Joyce. He's there a long time now. You would imagine Galway have to get an All-Ireland this year for his tenure to be somewhat... I know they've won plenty of titles, but when you look at the form Mayo and Roscommon have been over the last few years, is that much of a success from a Galway point of view? So you would imagine from a Galway point of view, they need to win a Division 1, they need to win an All-Ireland. Is this squad capable of it with the players that have left the panel, especially Thompson? I'm not entirely sure. I'm just going to have them in 5th.
I think the thing is with Galway is like when they won the Connacht Championships initially under Joyce, and then they got to that All-Ireland final against Kerry in 2022 and they lost it where it was just an exhibition of Gaelic football, Clifford at one and Shane Walsh at the other, that even though they lost, it was like, okay, but maybe it wasn't your time. It was definitely Kerry's time. They were ready to win All-Ireland. Galway will probably get back to the All-Ireland final. It was the Armagh loss which I think did far more damage in terms of their belief in themselves and everything, because of the way that it went going down the home stretch, where they were banging at the door constantly and they just couldn't take their chances, that the game was there for them. And then on top of that, you throw in, I know that they've won the Connacht Championships, but they lost that league final to Mayo in 2023 as well, and that was another game where national silverware was on the line and they just didn't really turn up to the level that they're capable of. So definitely I do agree, national silverware is something that Galway need this year under Pádraig Joyce. And you look as well at the age profile of some of their best players, especially the likes of Paul Conroy. I'd be going, it's now or never. Like, you have to make good on this team that you have right now. And with the players that you mentioned, Matthew, that are out, it's going to be harder to do that. I actually have Galway in fifth. I think Galway are going to have a very normal league campaign. I think they're going to have a couple of decent wins. Galway Mayo in round one is going to be a banger. I can't wait for that. And I see enough fixtures there where I think, like Galway against Roscommon, I think they'll win that. That's in round 4. But there's other games that are going to be difficult, like they're away to Donegal and Ballyshannon in round 5. I don't think they'll win that. I think they'll do enough to stay up, but I don't think it will be shooting the lights out.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who's next? Galway.
I've got them in third. Like originally, up until a couple of weeks ago, I was actually expecting them to reach a league final. But then when you were seeing some of the players that were missing, like Matthew Thompson, like will Shane Walsh and Damien Comer be risked in the league? I don't really think they will be, to be honest. I think they'll be held in reserve. Like I think they will. Like I've got them on the same amount of points as Dublin, and it is worth mentioning in my league table I have 3 points separating 8th and 3rd. Like, so I think there'll be very, very little between a lot of teams. Do you know what I mean?
Last year.
That's how it was last year.
Last
Exactly. Like I think Galway will have a bad start of the league, but I think they'll turn it around towards the end, and just do enough. And then that game against Dublin actually at the end, it's actually going to be very interesting now thinking about it. But yeah, I think for Galway they will be looking at the bigger picture as well, like in terms of the All Ireland. You know, like I have a funny feeling Galway might even slip up in Connacht. To be honest with you, and like there'll be so much emphasis on that All Ireland Championship. So yeah, I got them in third.
It's really, really interesting, man. Like, Liam,
I'm the exact same third. I kind of think they're going to have kind of up and down, but I could see them like winning against Mayo, but then maybe like drawing with Armagh or something like that. I don't think there's much between the sides to a degree. They met last year. Galway obviously won the first game in the league quite comfortably, but then, you know, how much do you read into their win against Armagh last year in the championship? Because Armagh were already through, weren't they? You know, so you're thinking, right, they would have probably loved to have knocked them out, but at the end of the day, they were already through. It wouldn't matter too much to them. But yeah, I could see Galway having like up and down. I could actually see them going to Donegal weirdly and winning. Do you know? But then you could also see them losing at home to a Dublin and potentially getting trashed by Kerry away from home. Do you know? They're just, I don't know. It's a strange one with Galway. Like you mentioned there, they have the ability to win the All Ireland, and I completely agree with you. I think that our All Ireland final, and even more than losing it, the way they performed. Now, it was a terrible final. It was one of the worst finals I've ever seen in my life. But you think of the free-flowing football they played in that final against Kerry in 2022. It was an absolute joy to watch. It was a pleasure to be there and watch it. And then last year's final, I was nearly, or 2024, I was nearly falling asleep. Like they just weren't able to break them down at all. There was nearly no spark with them, and that's my kind of worry now, to a degree. But like you mentioned there, they could be looking at not risking Comer, not risking Shane Walsh, which probably wise enough considering the season they have ahead, and it could give them a bit of a wobble. I just don't think Mayo and Roscommon at the moment are at the level of Galway to potentially stop them. So I feel like they'll probably still win Connacht, but it's like they might fall over the line in winning Connacht, and then it's all about, right, we got to make sure we get the All-Ireland. Because I think even last year's defeat at home to Dublin really did a lot of damage to them as well. Because like you went down there as underdogs for once and you bet them by a point, but you were much better than they were as well. And you could see what that did to them for the rest of the season. They were poor against, well, I wouldn't say they were poor against Down, but they nearly let it slip against Down. They were poor against Derry, just got over the line against Armagh, and then against Meath, it all came crashing down. So I feel like they might squeak third, but I won't say it'd be like anything convincing or anything like that.
I remember that game. I remember going into that goal again, people were saying we were going to get battered, and like people were saying we were going to get absolutely destroyed. So it's crazy to think about now in hindsight. So that's Galway done. We'll move on now to the Kingdom. County Kerry, who won the league, Munster and the All-Ireland last season, playing incredible football under Jack O'Connor, under the new rules, of course, of Gaelic football. David Clifford, of course, having the season of his life, you could say. They're in incredible form. I'll lead this one off. I think Kerry are going to finish top, and I think they're going to win the league. I think when you look at, I've seen your video as well, Aaron, really good points made in it that the worry that Kerry have about the provincial championships is not the same as what the rest of the teams have. And the fact that the calendar is so compressed, I think we could see a similar situation that we saw last year where Kerry are kind of winning almost. Just that they're just like, they're getting over the line in a competition where everybody isn't really going 100 miles an hour. And Kerry last season, by the way, I'm not saying that Kerry won just because everyone was, but I don't think Kerry were going 100 miles an hour in the league either.
No.
And that league final wasn't a great game, even with the new rules. It actually stood out as being one of the weaker games in the whole league campaign. And I actually remember people at the time who were saying that the new rules aren't translating well to Croke Park. I remember people at the time talking about, we get better games in the provincial grounds and everything like that. But I genuinely believe this Kerry team right now, they're in a bit of a golden era because the new rules have hit. They suit them perfectly. David Clifford in the form of his life, Paddy Clifford, Sean O'Shea, and Joe O'Connor. They've unearthed an absolute gem there in Joe O'Connor. And Gavin White looks like he's in the form of his life as well. And when you factor in that Paul Gainey still looks like one of the best footballers in the country right now with Dingle, Tom O'Sullivan is absolutely flying it as well. Kerry are looking really, really, really good. And I think if they hit full top form, I think they finish top and I think they win the league.
Yeah, I completely agree. I don't see anyone stopping Kerry in the league, to be honest. I don't even see anyone stopping Kerry in potentially even in the championship, to be honest with you, although we'll have to see how the league goes before all that starts. But they're just so strong, and like you said, the new rules suit them down to the ground. You even look at last year, you look at some of the scorelines they put up in the championship. They put, was it 3-24 past Galway on the last day, 5-15 away to Derry. You know, they were going well against Dublin before it all fell apart in the second half, down in where was it? Was it in Tralee or was it in Killarney? I think it was in Tralee. Yeah, like they were putting up big score lines up against Tyrone where Clifford got the hat trick. They were putting up big score lines anyways, and it was nearly, looking back now, nearly a warning shot to say these new rules are going to suit us down to the ground and we have the players to punish absolutely everybody. You know, they played against She in the Munster Championship, you know, which was one of the best games last year. They still scored 3-21. Do you know, like they put up such huge score lines last year. Then you get 32 points against Armagh. Was it 126 against Donegal? 17 points in an All-Ireland final by half time. And I mean, David Clifford touched the ball, 6 times and scored 7 points, you know, like just something outrageous like that. I weirdly can see David Clifford actually playing some parts of most of the league. I don't know why. I feel like
he did last year.
But that's what I mean. I feel like he wants to get up and running as quickly as possible and to get momentum behind him, because once he starts hitting momentum, it's all over for most defenders, to be honest with you.
Plus, there's no run with Fossa.
Exactly.
Like Fossa has, and he's carried their runs have massively impacted how much he can play in the league, and that is not the case this year.
And yeah, Joe O'Connor for me, I think other than David Clifford, I think he's the one for me that would be the footballer of the year, potentially.
Wow. Yeah. So two saying that Kerry will win the league, and Aaron, you said it in your video. Kerry will win the league.
Spoiler, yeah. So, to be honest, you both put it too well. Like, so there's probably not a huge amount to add. Yeah, I don't think it'll be perfect in the league. Like, I think they will. I think they'll lose to Dublin and they'll lose to Donegal. I think that they're the only games they'll lose. I think they'll win all the rest. They'll be missing the Dingle lads at the start, so we actually be interested to see if Paul Gainey plays any part in the league at all. Like if if Dingle win the All Ireland or something like that. So yeah, I think they will rotate a little bit. There might be a few young lads come in like Killian Trant and Cormac Dillon, Rory Murphy maybe, but. I think, look, the blueprint is there for Jack O'Connor and Kerry. Every time they've won the league, they've won the All-Ireland under Jack O'Connor, and unfortunately, I think they'll do the same again.
However, you've pointed this out on pods before, that Jack O'Connor has never gone back-to-back with Kerry. Yeah. Could we see him break that duck this year, or do you think that the curse will continue?
It's why he's staying on. He wants to do back-to-back. Not saying he'll do it now, but it's the one kind of crutch that everybody has with Jack O'Connor. He's never done back-to-back, and you can't consider him a manager in the ilk of Jim Gavin, for example, because of that. But Jack would want a back-to-back. I'm sure he would. I actually have Kerry down at fourth, and I'll tell you the reason why, because there's going to be a lot of rotating with this Kerry team. I see the McGrath Cup team they played against Clare. It was an entirely new team, and they'll do the same in the next few weeks of the McGrath Cup, I'm sure, as well. Tomas Kennedy, I think, will get a lot more game time. Excellent footballer, very good under-20 footballer, but it'll take time for him to bed in. I don't know, will Paddy Lane get some games, or will he stick with the under-20s? As Aaron mentioned there, Rory Murphy. You have some very good players in the Kerry team. I feel like David Clifford might be rested for the first few rounds, same as Sean O'Shea. They might have a different goalkeeper other than Shane Ryan. I think they had Brian Kelly weirdly on the bench of the McGrath Cup. I didn't know he was back, but apparently he is. You have the Dingle players out. You have the Ungaeltacht players. Obviously, Brino Beagley out as well. So that's a lot of losses for the Kerry team in the first few rounds of the league. And there's the argument, will they take the league seriously this year? I'm not entirely sure. So I've had them down at fourth, just because I think they might be a bit of rotation with the Kerry team this year.
It's a very good point. You can't argue. That is one to consider. I mean, you're talking about Brino Beagley has become so important, especially with the new rules, the way he flies forward from wing back. Gainey's form as well is unbelievable. But anyway, that's Kerry discussed. Now we're going to move on to the green and red of Mayo. Obviously, a new management team. Andy Moran is at the helm. They will not get the services of Kobe MacDonald. He is gone over to play in Australian rules football next season, but they still have some sensational players. Obviously, their main man over the last few seasons has been Ryan O'Donoghue. But one thing that is quite apparent to me is Andy Moran is going to bring in sweeping changes here. He has been ruthless. Players have left the squad, things like that. Matthew, what have you made of Mayo, and where do you think they're going to finish?
It's very hard to know. Obviously, we don't exactly know who is going to be coming in as new players from a Mayo point of view. What Andy Moore definitely has to bring in, we were like a broken record saying on this podcast last year, 2-pointers. Yeah. This was the big thing with Mayo last year. It's why they lost to Donegal in that game down the Hyde. It's why they went out of the championship. They just didn't have enough of them on the field. And I'd love for Andy Moore to give the likes of Frank Irwin a go. He's performed well for Ballina Stephen. He's performed well for UL. He has to be given a chance. You have other players there like the likes of Dar Byrne, who's been given a chance at the Connacht FBD League as well. I have them down at 6th. I don't think they'll go down, but I think there'll be a lot of rotation with Mayo. There'll be a lot of trying things out with Andy Moran. And I feel like there'll be maybe a sense of Andy Moore trying to get starting 15 in order before the Connacht Championship begins. So I think they won't take the league too seriously. I'm going to go 6 for Mayo.
I've actually put them in 2nd. I think Andy Moran coming in, I think he's going to want to make a splash. And I think in the league campaign, genuinely, I think Mayo are going to take this much more serious than most other teams. I think that we'll see teams rotate, we'll see teams leave players out. When you're talking about will Galway put Shane Walsh and Damien Comer in for most of the games, probably not. I can't see a game that Andy Moran won't go with his best hand. The last thing that you want as a new manager coming in is to get relegated in your first campaign. That is the last thing you want. So I think Mayo will win that first game against Galway. Like, genuinely, I think they will. I think that will be a cracking game, and I could see a scenario where Galway do win it. But I think Mayo will win that game because they'll go hammer and tongs for it. And I really, really believe that they'll put their all into every single one of their games. They made it to the league final last year. I agree with you. I think there's going to be nothing in it. And you know, when you're talking about like the comments and everything like that, I think I said Tyrone would get to the league final, and then they got relegated, and someone was saying, "Oh, this age, well, you don't know." I was like, "Well, they were in the league final with 20 minutes to go." Literally, like someone scored, and then they ended up falling 6 places. Yeah. But anyway, the league is going to be so tight this year. Mayo made it into the league final last year, and let's be honest, did they play at their best throughout the league? No. Andy Moran's going to come in and they're going to put everything they have into every game. I firmly believe that. I think they're going to finish 2nd.
Yeah, I have them in 7th. So I disagree a little bit there. Spoiler. You do make a good few points. Like, and look, I have them with 5 points. So I think it'll be very, very close. Like, there's a few teams having 6 points as well above them. So I think there'll be very little between a lot of them. I just think it will take a while before things really set with Mayo. I think there'll be a big focus on Connacht as well, given their record on Connacht in recent seasons. I do think their fixture list at the start is quite tricky, to be honest, as well. Like, they play Galway away, Dublin home, Donegal away. Like, look, to be fair, they probably will beat Dublin at home. As much as I don't want to admit that, but I think they probably will. I think their home games will be key in there, like Armagh, Roscommon on the last day. I have a funny feeling Roscommon might turn them over there. It is interesting seeing James Carr's actually back in the squad. He was back in the FBD League squad, so that's actually good to see, to be fair, because he's definitely a player who can kick 2-pointers. You do still have a lot of the same players, though. Like, Aidan O'Shea is still there. Like, you've got Killian O'Connor coming back in. Huge emphasis on Ryan O'Donoghue as well. And look, it is worth stressing, I don't think it's the end of the world for Mayo to get relegated, because I think they'll come straight back up anyway. And they've young players there, and I think playing in Division 2, as we've seen in recent seasons, can actually have some benefit as well. So, I've got them in 7th.
Unfortunately, I'm agreeing with with Aaron here. And it's nothing against Mayo. Again, the league campaign can be so weird. Like you mentioned there, how they got to the league final last year still kind of baffles me, considering how close everything was. But look, Mayo are a strange team. 1 minute they're losing to Cavan, next minute they're beating Tyrone fairly comfortably. Do you know what I mean? They're just such an up and down team. And I like Andy Moore as manager. I like what he did with Leitrim, and I think he can actually get the best out of some of these players. Colby McDonald, I know he's off in June after his leaving cert, so that's going to be a big loss for them. But I do agree with you. I think Frank Irwin deserves a big chance this year. And Mayo have a lot of really good players coming through at underage as well. I saw their minor team last year when they played us in the All-Ireland quarter final, and I was really impressed with how they moved the ball. They were very fast, very strong, and they're goal heavy as well. So, and they've good under 20 players coming through as well. So I feel like Andy Moore will be trying to integrate a lot of them into the squad this year. And is it maybe the year that Aidan O'Shea gets pushed out of the team? I'm not too sure. I thought he actually did well last year, to be fair to him, and was a great link-up player. Even added more scores to his game last year as well. So it'd be interesting to see what he goes with him. But again, look, Mayo for me are the team that could easily lose to Monaghan away from home and then beat Armagh. Yeah. You know, just something like that, or they could beat Dublin at home, but then the next week go and lose Roscommon. You know, they are just that team. I just feel like their consistency is going to be something that Andy Moran is going to have to fix massively this year. But for the time being, I am going to go with them in 7th. But I agree with you. Like, if they go down, not the end of the world. They'll come back up straight away, in my opinion. They're still one of the best sides in the country, in my opinion. It's just a lot of luck hasn't gone their way over the years, as we know as well, especially last year with the way they were knocked down in the last minute over in Hyde Park. But yeah, I'm going to go with 7 for the moment. But like, I do agree with you. If they go down, I don't think it's the end of the world, because I think, look, they can bounce back in the Connacht Championship.
Yeah, that was one of the most dramatic moments of last year, the way they went out with the championship. Kieran Moore, just remember you saying it, like, for whatever reason he really wants Mayo out with the championship. Fella like could have kicked that ball out of play and been done with it. But
he nearly looked sad to kick it over as well.
Yeah. Anyway, we're moving on now. We have Monaghan, the Farney Army, of course, promoted. They were champions of Division 2 last season. Micheál Bannigan, I thought, especially had the season of his life last year. Rory Beggan looked like he was in unbelievable form for Scottstown, of course, as their run into the Ulster champions, obviously at the club level, before falling short in the All-Ireland semi-final to St. Bridget's. Monaghan still have an incredible team. There's no question about it. Gabriel Bannigan there, and they've proven that just because Conor McManus retired, just because Darren Hughes is coming to the end of his career, Kieran Hughes is left, that wasn't just a once-off golden crop of Monaghan players. There is another generation right behind them ready to carry the flag. And Liam, I'll come to you first. What are you expecting from Monaghan?
I like this Monaghan team, I'll be honest. And I was kind of one of those people who thought when McManus goes, what is going to happen to Monaghan when he goes? But really, they stormed to the Division 2 title last year. I know they lost to Roscommon down in Dr. Hyde Park, but then you saw in the league final that they were miles ahead of them, the way they were moving the ball in Croke Park. I like Bannigan as a manager. I felt they were unlucky to a degree last year, losing to Donegal in the two ways that they did. I actually thought at half-time of the quarter-final last year that Donegal were gone. I was like, Monaghan are just playing them off the park here. And then just somehow they only scored 5 points in the second half they scored, after scoring 115 in one half. So I've actually got them down in 4th position. I think they're a very good team. I think they play some really, really nice football. I like a lot of their players as well. I mean, if Desi Ward could stay fit, Mannigan as well, these types of players, I think they could have a really, really good league campaign, a really positive league campaign. And they could, for me, absolutely be underdogs to win the Ulster Championship. Absolutely, 100%. I think they're a very, very good team. I think they move the ball well. I think the win that Scottstown had as well in the Ulster Championship could give them a bit of confidence as well, a lot of the Scottstown players. I mean, Rory Beggan, we joked last year he could be the top scorer in the championship, and he got 11 points in an Ulster final, which I've never got 11 points in a match. No, I did once, but it was junior B, very different. But do you know what I mean? He's doing that at that level, and his 2-pointed frees, we can't underestimate that. So yeah, I'm actually going to go with Monaghan in 4th place. I think they could actually have a very good league campaign, and I think it could set them up really nicely for the Ulster Championship.
Matthew?
I actually predict them to get 7th place relegated, I think.
Fair enough.
It's almost personal, isn't it? Like in Mayo, and I was almost like, what the fuck?
It's not personal, we swear. Yeah.
I like Monaghan. I like the way they play football, as you said there, but I feel like there's a few things. Number one, obviously the players that have left the panel other than Conor McManus. Kieran Duffy's another one, a massive loss to cornerback. a massive loss in the dressing room. I think Carl O'Connell, massive loss in terms of a voice there. Darren Hughes as well. Will the Scottstown players be tired to go into this league campaign? And you see what Bridges did with Rory Beggan in the club semi-final. They knew how to curb him. Don't concede frees outside the 2-pointer and don't concede frees straight in front of the goal. That's what Bridges did. They conceded very few frees around that area.
He was in trouble a few times as well, going back, wasn't he? They had to leg it back to the goal a few times.
And I feel like that could be a blueprint for everybody in Division 1 to work on against Monaghan, to stop this begging influence, because he's been Monaghan's most influential player since the new rules have come in. And another thing as well, one of their backroom members, Andy Bourne, obviously went to Mayo.
True.
That's a huge loss to them, because he was the guy that instigated some attacking football with that Monaghan team. He's a very, very good, astute coach. I'm not sure about Andy Moore as a manager, but as a coach, he's absolutely excellent at getting those forwards up to the level. So a few things there, I just feel like, and Monaghan will be focusing on the Ulster Championship as well, coming down the line. I feel like they'll come 7th, but I think it'll be something like they'll finish with 4 or 5 points. It'll be tight, but I think they'll go down.
I've actually gone for them to just about survive and to put Armagh down in the process. Like, genuinely, I've just learned to not really pick against Monaghan to go down, because the one of the times that I picked them to go down, they relegated Dublin instead.
I
So
remember that, actually.
yeah, so like, I mean,
Jesus.
but ironically enough, the only time I said, right, I've learnt my lesson, I'm not going to pick Monaghan to go down, they did. They went
you're
down.
jinxing them
Yeah,
now, is
so
what
now
you're doing.
I don't know. I'm hoping that they stay up this time, because again, same as yourself, I love how they consistently defy the odds as well.
Yeah.
Like that, they're constantly going up against counties with bigger populations, and they're constantly punching above their weight, and I love seeing that. I think they're going to do enough to stay up. I think that the trajectory that they're on, I think they'll pick up a couple of crucial wins, and I do think that Armagh missing the players that they're missing and being in a little bit of a weird position will help them, because there'll be someone that they can outrun, in a sense. I don't think... Yeah, I think as well, with the craziness of how tight it was last season, I think anyone bar Kerry could go down. Like, I genuinely think anyone bar Kerry could go down. If anyone apart from Kerry goes down, I wouldn't be stunned. Last season, we saw Tyrone get 7 points. Look, in certain games, like they were serious contenders for the All-Ireland.
Yeah. And
And then they got relegated after, on the same day, being in the league final. I'm going to go for Monaghan to do enough to stay up. I think players like Bannigan will again lead from the front. He was so important to them last season. I think he could be crucial. Beggan, they'll have to think up of something like that. Gabriel Bannigan has to be planning now, because Bridges have kind of shown a bit of a blueprint of how to approach going after Rory Beggan. But I do think they will do their research, and I think they'll do enough.
Yeah, I agree as well. I think they'll just about do it. Like in my league table actually as well, I've actually got the bottom 3 all on 5 points. But I think Monaghan will do enough on score difference just to dig themselves out of it. I think the interesting part as well is they played Donegal on the last game. And I just think it's written like it always is for Monaghan to go into that game, look pretty much dead and buried, playing one of the best teams in the country, and then beat them. And Donegal could already be in a league final at that stage, and they mightn't have much to kind of focus on. And they'll probably have the Scottstown lads back by then as well. So and I think they'll just about do it, I think.
Last one then is Roscommon, and I have Roscommon to go down. I think this is it's a bad time to get a new manager in for a team that is just got promoted. It's really, really tough to go up and then all of a sudden you're at a completely new level that the team was before. And the other thing as well with Roscommon, if we're looking at last season, Roscommon started Division 2 like a house on fire, and they did taper off as the campaign went on. And as you said, Liam, when they got into that final against Monaghan, Monaghan looked far superior to them in that game.
Yeah.
I do think they're slipping a little bit. They had a fantastic performance, of course, in the FBD League. They looked solid in that game. There are players that look fantastic coming on the scene for Roscommon, the likes of Shane McGinley. And Darragh Craig as well is an absolute superstar up front there for them. But I think in this division it's so cutthroat. I think they'll find it difficult with the new management to adapt. They have proven us wrong before. Kevin McStay got them up to Division 1, and what did they finish? 3rd in 2016?
Davy Burke as well.
Davy Burke, his first season, they did really, really well. They could pull that rabbit out of the hat again, but I think it surprised people those years for a reason, because it was unlikely. I think it's unlikely again. I think they will go down, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. I just think the competition against them is too strong, to be honest with you. Like last year, they started like a house on fire, the way they were winning games. And then I feel like that Meath game away from home is the one that really turned them around, to be honest with you. It just hit, for some reason, it was like one loss and everything's go to shit, basically. Do you know, like I don't know what happened. And then you looked at them in the Connacht Championship, they were very, very uninspiring against Galway in Salt Hill last year as well, and they were very uninspiring in the group stages as well, or the round robin series as well, you know. And I mean, Cork deservedly knocked them out last year in the All-Ireland series, you know, there's no question about that. So, and look, you have the Bridges lads as well. I think that's going to hit them more than any other county, to be honest with you. You know, I think the players that Bridget's have and the system that they have and everything could be so crucial to Roscommon, but if not, they're not having them for the first 3-4 rounds. I think it could really, really hurt them. And yeah, I don't see them. I don't want to sound harsh and say they won't pick up anything. They could pick up maybe a win or a draw against a Mayo, or they could maybe catch Monaghan or maybe even a Galway on a bad day. But for me, like, they're going to have to make Dr. Hyde Park an absolute fortress beyond belief. But I just don't see it happening.
Okay, well, lads, it is time to own your predictions to the max. So for this part, we are going to look straight down the lens. So the camera, your one is right there. Me and Matthew, our one is right there. So for our particular shot, we're going to look straight down the lens like this and give our predictions. So are we ready? Does somebody want to pop me the question, ask me what my predictions are for the league table, and I will own it?
Séamus, tell us your predictions.
Division 1 predictions 2026, I'm going with Kerry to win the league at top spot, Mayo in second, Donegal in third, Dublin in fourth, Galway in fifth, Monaghan in sixth, Armagh, surprise entry for me at seventh, and Roscommon at eighth.
Matthew, your predictions this year?
So in 8th place, I'm going to go for Roscommon. 7th, I'm going to go for Monaghan. 6th place, I'm going to go for Mayo. 5th, Galway. 4th, Kerry. 3rd, Armagh. 2nd, Dublin. And winning the league in first position is Donegal.
Aaron, do you want to give us your predictions for Division 1 2026?
Yeah, I'll give you the points for each team as well. So Roscommon on 5 points in 8th, Mayo in 7th, also with 5 points, Monaghan in 6th with 5 points, Armagh in 5th with 6 points, Donegal in 4th with 8 points, Galway in 3rd with 8 points, Donegal in 2nd with 9 points, and Kerry in 1st with 10 points and winning the league.
And Liam, what is your predictions for Division 1 this year?
So I've gone with Roscommon in 8th position. I've gone with Mayo in 7th, Dublin in 6th, Donegal in 5th, Monaghan 4th, Galway 3rd, and I'm going to predict an Armagh Kerry Division 1 final with Kerry coming out the winners.
So that's Division 1 previewed and predicted. We've nailed our colours to the mast on that one. Now we're going to move on to Division 2. Lads, probably fair to say one of the most difficult divisions to call across all 4 codes. Over the last few years, it is so cutthroat, such a shark tank. And what we're going to do with this one, we're going to nail our colours to the mast from the beginning. So we're going to pick how we think the whole league table is going to go. And then the other 3 of us are going to start picking at it and asking questions and everything like that. So I'm going to put you under the hot seat first, Liam. Look down the lens. Division 2 predictions 2026. What you got?
So I've got in first place, I've got Tyrone, and Tyrone to win the league as well. I've actually got Louth in 2nd place. I've got Cork in 3rd. I've gone with Meath in 4th, Derry in 5th, Offaly in 6th, Kildare 7th, Cavan 8th.
Okay, time for me to ask my first question. So I'll ask a question. My first one is Derry in 5th.
I feel like they could go backwards. I don't know what it is. They had, you looked at them last year, they went how long without a win in league and championship? For a long period of time. I know they're not playing as strong a teams in Division 2 as Division 1, but I just have a feeling, look, for me, Tyrone are the strongest team in this division, there's no question about that. But I have a feeling that there's going to be a resurgence in Cork football. I have a feeling Louth this year would really want to kick on after winning the Leinster Championship. I know they lost their manager, but there's a lot of really good footballers in Louth. You saw them last year with winning the Senior Championship in Leinster. They got to the Leinster Minor Final. They won the Leinster Under-20 Football Championship. They have a lot of really good players coming through, and I'm really excited to see how the likes of Mulroy and Lennon, breeds these lads in and gets them going again this year. And with Meath are just a funny one. Last night I actually had Derry 4th and Meath 5th, but I've changed my mind this morning. I just have a feeling when Meath get their players back, the likes of, because they played us the other day in the O'Byrne Cup, they didn't have the likes of Matthew Costello playing, they didn't have the likes of Owen Frayne playing, they didn't have Rafferty playing, etc. But I feel like once they get those players back in, I think they could be like Meath are the type of team they could go and beat Tyrone, they could go and lose to Offaly. They are just that team. But I feel like they want to be a bit more consistent this year and prove that last year's All-Ireland semi-final was no fluke. So I feel like Derry then are the best of the rest after that. I feel like just those teams at the moment are ahead of them. So
very interesting. He makes his case well. Aaron, I'll put you under the spot next if you want to look down the lens there.
Yeah.
So your Division 2 predictions for 2026, what you got?
Yeah, so I've got Cavan in 8th, Offaly in 7th, Kildare in 6th, Cork in 5th, Louth in 4th, Derry in 3rd, Tyrone 2nd, Meath 1st, and I do think Meath will win the league as well.
And you've got an Offaly man sitting right beside you.
Yeah, I'm a Dublin man, so.
none taken, you're all right.
He's got Meath winning Division 2.
Yeah, there's a few reasons for it. Like, I think, again, it ties back into the fact that Tyrone have Armagh at the start of the league, or the start of the championship, a week after a league final. So will they go strong in Croke Park in a league final against Meath? I don't think they will, to be honest with you. So I think that's why I'd probably edge Meath in a league final. And I think as well, look, I think with Meath, they will be missing a couple of players, like with the Sigerson maybe early on, but like they've a tremendous amount of attacking players coming through, from Owen Frayne to Rory Kinsella, Connor Duke, Matthew Costello. And they play some phenomenal football, and they were probably one of the teams that utilised the 2-pointers, I think, better than anyone last season. I think they were brilliant. I think with Derry, like I was going to put them in originally, I think there'll be a little bit of inconsistency. Like they haven't won a game in normal time since they beat Westmeath in the summer of 2024.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, like that's a
mental,
long
isn't
time.
it?
Now, I know they played a lot of great teams last season, but I don't think you can just turn it on just like that. Like, I think there will be a few bumps in the road. I think Louth will be fine. I think Cork will be fine. Kildare will be okay. Offaly and Cavan, like, there's a lot of negativity around Cavan right now with their managerial appointments. Like, a lot of Cavan fans don't seem to be happy about it. Like, Offaly could do it. Do you know what? Like, I was actually looking at Cork maybe as a team that I think could get dragged into it. Yeah.
Matthew, we'll just go. Right?
Yeah. But the main reason being, I think they have Stephen Sherlock coming back into the side, but they've been kind of around this same level for the last couple of years. I think they're a team that could probably beat Derry but lose to Offaly. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're a bit kind of like that. But ultimately, look, I think they will be fine. I think Kildare, there's a few question marks over them as well, but I think they have a good young amount of players coming through there, so should be okay.
Anyone else have any questions for him?
I suppose just with Kildare, it's the retirements as well. The players that they are losing that I think are going to hurt them. And I think I said it to you on the way up as well, that I just feel like they are a team that they didn't win the Tailteann Cup last year in the most convincing of fashions, in my opinion. They didn't hammer Limerick or anything like that. They were, a last minute kick away from losing to us, and then against who was it, Fermanagh in the semi final. It wasn't a great match either. So. And like you mentioned, they are a team that have had such regrets in Leinster over the last number of years as well. Probably have still big regrets over losing to Louth last year. They lost to Clare last year in the league as well. So they are a developing team. They are coming back, and I think, I feel even bad in a way. Well, not really, because I'm from Offaly, but I kind of feel bad giving them 7th place, because I think they could beat any team, but I also just think there's a lot of inconsistencies
they're
with them.
definitely a confidence team. Like,
There is,
like if they lose a couple of games at the start of the league, they could struggle. But equally, they could win a couple of games. So
Exactly,
it's hard to know.
I think they're kind of unlucky that a lot of people expect a hell of a lot from them because of
they do.
what McGeeney's Kildare team did about, getting to All-Ireland semi-finals and being really, really competitive. You think of 2010, and that's when most of us would have been watching the championship for the first time and remembering these games and everything. One of my first memories of watching a game on TV is Rob Kelly firing that shot off the crossbar that Kildare lost that semi-final to down by the thinnest of margins. But we're used to Kildare being there or thereabouts, and the truth is, they haven't been for a long time. Yeah. And people, especially when they got relegated from Division 2, people were absolutely going in on them, like that they're so far off where they should be. But it is very much based off that 98 team that got to the All-Ireland final. Yeah. Those McGeeney teams that did really well, that had the likes of Johnny Doyle, Dermot Earley. But if you look at the all history before the 90s, they weren't really getting to All-Ireland semi-finals, All-Ireland finals, everything like that. So they are in the process of building back up to where they are. They have All-Ireland under-20 winners in that team, like James McGrath. But it will come as a big shock to you to know where I put them because I'm giving it that big talk. I have them to go down as well. But anyway, so I really made it sound like it was hopeful. Yeah, no. But I just feel like it's because of how cutthroat this division's going to be. That's why I think it is. I think that they will put in some good performances, but I just think this division is going to be so cutthroat. I think with the players that they've lost, David Hyland, Daniel Flynn.
Yeah.
I think for the here and now,
Hyland especially for me is a bigger miss than Flynn, to be honest with you.
For the here and now, well, Daniel Flynn was kind of in and out over the last few years.
Well, that's what I mean. Hyland's been there and he's consistent and everything like that.
Niall Kelly as well is another one who's gone.
Loss.
Yeah, Niall Kelly's another one that's gone. So I'll lock mine in. So Division 2 predictions for 2026. Okay, here we go. I've gone with Tyrone in first. I've gone with Meath in second. I've gone with Derry in third. I've gone with Cork in fourth. I've gone with Louth in fifth. Offaly in sixth. Kildare in seventh. And then Cavan in eighth. And that is my table prediction for Division 2 in 2026. Question time, lads. Open the floor up.
Do we one question? Are we being harsh on Cavan? Like just playing devil's advocate a little bit because they were very close to actually getting promoted last season. They beat Mayo as well.
It was there was a different vibe around the team. But what was weird was even when they beat Mayo, I remember there was a great win for them over Mayo, and then a week later there was all rumours about discontent in the camp and everything. I was like, I thought you were on a high after beating Mayo.
Yeah. I think the way McCabe left Westmeath as well, there was a lot of question marks over that, and the Westmeath County Board or the County Board weren't too happy over that either. I feel like that could come into this panel as well. I could be wrong, but just reading into that, I don't like the sound of it already.
I thought McCabe would have been the man though.
That's what I thought as well.
He's an all-star in '97, is he not? Or he was a key part of that Ulster winning team. Maybe not an all-star, that could be wrong, but he was a key part of that Ulster winning team, and I would have looked at that and gone, surely they want Dermot McCabe as manager. Like, why would they not want him? If they want a county legend who's a manager, there it is.
Exactly.
Where do you think this is coming from?
It's hard to know because it's I suppose maybe as Liam mentioned the way he left Westmeath, maybe the players that he's bringing in as well. Like there's underwhelming players coming in, and I've seen in recent Twitter posts that Sean McAvoy's one player that's gone. A few other players have gone off the panel as well, which is quite concerning from a Cavan point of view. And you look at the way they got hammered by teams, the likes of Donegal and the likes of even the Kerry game last year. Okay, Paddy Lynch scored a few 2-pointers in Killarney. It was great to see, but it never looked like they were winning it, that Kerry game. Yeah, it was just poor from a Cavan point of view. And the way I'm talking about it, it's obvious. I've put them 8 as well. I've got them to get relegated too. So look, it's going to be a difficult year for Cavan, I think. And if Dermot McCabe, he has to turn around not just the team's fortunes, but he has to turn around the public's perception as well, which is another very hard thing to do.
Okay. Do you want to give your predictions down the lens? Does anybody else want to do the honours of asking Matthew the question?
Matthew, what are we saying for Division 2?
So in 8th place, I've gone for Cavan. In 7th place, I've gone Offaly. In 6th, I've got Louth. 5th, Kildare. 4th, Derry. 3rd, Meath. 2nd, Cork. And 1st, Tyrone.
Okay. Question time, lads.
Yeah, I suppose with Cork football, what drives you to put them in 2nd?
Just the new players that have come in. The fact that last year it was negativity with players leaving the panel, the likes of the Jack Callans of this world leaving the panel, and then new players coming in, and they really showed well. The likes of Sean McDonald, Sean Brady, Sean Walsh, they really showed well in that Cork jersey last year. But now there's a lot more positivity. David Buckley's come back into the panel. Stephen Sherlock. You have a lot more younger players that are coming into the fray as well, which is a huge positive. I think if Darren Newman gets more game time, the Bars goalkeeper, I think he could be revolutionary for the Cork kick-out strategy as well. We have midfielders there that are pillars. I think the Monaghan fans actually was talking to ourselves last year and saying that they were surprised by how big we were, how physical we were, and imposing. The likes of Colin McCallaghan, Ian Maguire, who he's captain this year, I think that's a massive move by John Cleary to have Ian Maguire as captain. I think he's a great leader of the team in general. Conor Callan, he'll get more football into him. I think Sean Walsh is an absolute excellent midfielder there as well. You look at the attackers there. I think Sean McDonald scored 6 points recently in the McGrath Cup. He's a guy that needs to prove a point. He did well last season, but with the likes of Sherlock back, with the likes of Buckley, with the likes of Brian Hurley going back to full fitness, he has a point to prove, and he's proven it so far, in fairness. You have other players coming into the panel there as well. In the outskirts, the likes of Luke Murphy, the likes of Dennis Rory O'Connor from Blacklegree, who I'm very impressed with. You have the full back there, Daniel O'Mahony, still there. I would be still worried about maybe our defensive options. Neil Lorton is gone travelling. That's a massive loss for us. But I feel like we made so many good strides last year. I think the only game where we were outplayed at Division 2, to be honest with you, was the Roscommon game. And I still hold this. Playing the hurling game before the football game was detrimental to the footballers, because it just enticed the hurling fans to leave the ground, and then the footballers were kind of degraded after that. In the games we did lose against Monaghan and Down, I thought there was a lot of positive shoots. I thought we dominated Monaghan in midfield. One incident changed the Down game completely. I think we competed very well against Kerry last year. And on another day in Croke Park, we could have beaten that Dublin side. So I feel like there is positives in Cork. And John Cleary has been very positive in interviews, including the Southern Star over the last few weeks. And I think this is the most positive John Cleary has been in a few years now. And if there's a time for Cork to go up, I think it's now. And John has been given a two-year term, and he has been emphasising as well that a players' delegate actually backed them as well. The county board has backed them. That's a good sign as well. And I feel like this is the time where Cork will go up into Division 2. And even look at our fixtures, like the first 3 games we have in no particular order. We've Cavan first at home. Like, I think we have to win that game. We've Louth and Offaly in the next 2 games after that. Tough away trips, but winnable. The 4th game is against Meath, but it's at Meath at home in Páirc Uí Rinn. That's a winnable game in my opinion. Derry, we've beaten them a couple of times away from home as well. And we play a Tyrone team that will be focusing on the Armagh game in the preliminary round in the Ulster Championship in the next few weeks. I think they might put a B team out against Cork, potentially. That could play to our advantage. I think we could get promoted this year.
Fair enough.
It's that round 4 game for me, Cork against Meath in Páirc Uí Rinn. That's a huge one. If you're talking about who's going up, and I have Meath obviously going up in second. I think Meath they're on the right trajectory this season. I think when you look at getting to the All-Ireland semi-final last season, okay, they lost in kind of bad circumstances, but I don't really think in the grand scheme of things, like, do you really, like, sure, we know ourselves, like, we got to the All-Ireland semi-final and got an ass whooping, thanks. But as in the grand scheme of things, but in the grand scheme of things, we won the All-Ireland quarter-final against Limerick in a game that no one expected us to win. And Meath had 3 wins actually last season: Dublin, Galway and Kerry, and nobody expected them to win any of them games. So they're going in the right direction for sure. I think they have to follow it up this year with promotion. They have to follow it up this year with promotion. And I think just in those tight games, they might shade it out. What other game jumps out? For me, a massive one. Derry Tyrone, round 2, Celtic Park. That one's going to be a banger. Is there anyone any others that jump out off the page? We have the fixtures in front of us.
I suppose because the 2 of us are here, Offaly Cork will be a good one in Tullamore.
Be a big one for the pod.
And
derby, we have a local derby.
And especially because they relegated us in 2022 in the last minute with a mistake that we made with the kick out. And that kind of hurt us a lot, because I felt like we'd done enough on the day to stay up, but then we just, when luck's not on your side, it's not on your side. And, that kind of set us backwards for a couple of years. We didn't do too well in the league for the next couple of years. We had a big win against Meath in 23 in the championship, but, you saw us in the Taoiseach Cup that year. We got spanked by Westmeath in the semi-final, and, we lost to London then in 2024. So I feel like a game like that could be a motivator for Mickey Hart and for Declan Kelly. But at the same time, look, Cork coming up to us, I mean, I'm kind of terrified about what Stephen Sherlock could do to us, to be honest with you. As to most teams, I think he's going to be a big standout in the league, to be honest with you. I think he wants to prove a point with Cork and say, listen, I scored 16 points in a Munster club final. I was scoring 15 points in league games down in Cork. I can score 7, 8, 9 points for Cork in these games. So, but yeah, that's a game.
Not really a 2-point kicker though, is he?
Not really, but
I just wanted to see.
Don't say that. He's going to do that now in Tullamore. But that's a game.
Did he get 16 points against Dingle or something?
Yeah,
crazy like that.
Just don't do that against us, please. Have mercy, please.
Crazy stuff. one of us, it's you. You went with Loud to go second.
Yeah.
You don't think they'll take a back step now? Jay Brennan's left.
Weirdly, I don't think so. No, I do like a lot of their younger players that they have coming through. I think they're building something very special in Loud. Like it's a shame that Brennan left because I thought he really could have built something with Loud over the next couple of years. But I've been a big fan of them for a couple of years, the way they've played football. And look, I know they got to the holy pedestal last year of winning the Leinster Championship after losing to Dublin in 2 consecutive finals. But I feel like they'll be seeing this as an opportunity to be like, listen, Leinster now is more open than it has been in about 15, 20 years. There's an opportunity there to actually go and win bigger games, and teams will be intimidated by them as well because they'll be like, listen, we're welcoming the Leinster champions here, regardless of, you know, how I know they kind of fell apart in the round robin last year against Monaghan and against Donegal, whatever, but I just have a feeling that the likes of Sam Mulroy, Craig Lennon, these types of players will want to absolutely kick on this year. Conor Grimes will absolutely look at this year and say, we've got to prove a point this year that Leinster championship win last year was no fluke. And these are the perfect types of games. The likes of Corks, Derrys, Meads, you know, Tyrones. These are the games you want to be playing against really respectable counties who have great history in football. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think Louth football's in a really good place, to be honest. Like, I don't think they'll get promoted. I think there might be a little bit of inconsistency with Gavin Devlin coming in. But like they've a lot of under 20 lads coming through, like Tyg McDonald, Kieran McCardle.
He's the one I think will stand down the league, Tyg McDonald.
Yeah, like he's looked very good even when he's played to the seniors like last year. So he's got a good few.
Was he their free taker? Their free taker in the under 20 game, really, or the minor game, but it was either minor or under 20. I'm mixing them up, but
Kelly for minor, I think it was.
Their 2-point kicking for a minor was ridiculous.
Unreal.
Off the ground, unbelievable technique. Clearly, someone who's out in the field practicing every day, for sure. So they have a lot of talent coming through, and there's no fluke about this. Like, and that's one of the things is we've seen rises in the past that felt very flash in the pan type, and I don't mean to disrespect any of them, but I think Wexford in 08 is a good example. Like they got to the All-Ireland semi-final, they put it up to Dublin in the Leinster finals of 2011 and 2012, and then when Matty Ford left, Kieran Ling left, they didn't have the under 21 and minor success coming behind it. Louth have this absolute factory line of fantastic footballers coming through, and I don't think they're going anywhere. I think they're here to stay, and like that's a fantastic thing for the Leinster Championship as well, because it's another big shark in the tank. Division 2, I feel like,
and one more thing as well, none of us predicted Derry to go up.
Yeah, none of us. I think it's a huge. I think it's a huge what if Kieran Mina had just stayed straight away, because you know the whole situation with the way that the previous manager had to leave, and Kieran Mina comes in. And he did steady the ship really well. I thought they put in a very good performance against Kerry in that All-Ireland semi-final. I think it's still a big what if Garrett McKinless's shot went in past Shane Ryan. It hit Shane Ryan's arm. Derry would have gone 5 points up with 5 minutes to go. And the way, I think they would have kicked on and won that game. And they would have got into an All-Ireland final against Dublin, who we were saying were inconsistent as hell that year. We did win that game.
That was Derry's year to win the All-Ireland.
If they were going to win the year, that was the year to win.
Or 22, actually.
Mickey Hart came in and they had their roller coaster that then fell apart. And the minute that it hit the first bump in the road, it was like a car going 150 kilometres an hour that then hits one speed bump and then just goes flying.
Or just as we got to go back to 40.
Yeah. But like it genuinely was. It was. I'd never ever seen a team who looked so good a couple of months ago look so bad only a couple of months later. Their performance against Galway and Armagh in the next couple of games was terrible. So their talent is there. You can't tell me that the talent isn't there. The talent is there. It's just, can Mina process it and put it together the way that it was put together before?
It does feel like it's almost now or never a little bit for a lot of that dairy crop as well. Like Brendan Rodgers and Shane McGuigan, Conor Glass, you know, like I don't want to be saying they'll retire at the end of the year and like that. They might go on for 3-4 more years, but in their prime right now, especially like they have had a couple of under 20 lads come through in recent seasons, like McAvoy was one, Charlie Diamond, a few others. So it's like, you know, you want to be like kind of on the up. Like you look at Louth football, they're on the up. Young players coming in where there isn't as much pressure. You want similar to happen with Derry football. So I think if this is a bad year, you could see a lot of people step away.
Yeah, I think the final thing we need to touch on before we go on to Division 3 is the amount of just agreement in the room that Tyrone are going up. There's not an eyelid batted at anybody saying that Tyrone are going to win Division 2.
The question mark about Tyrone is, will they win 7 out of 7?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think, lads, I think Tyrone are serious candidates for the All-Ireland. Genuinely serious. Like, it does not matter that Tyrone are in Division 2. Doesn't matter.
And they're still getting good games.
Yeah.
Let's be fair.
Donegal were in Division 2 when they made it to
Dublin as well.
Dublin were, Donegal were in Division 1 last year, but Donegal and Armagh
Tyrone for
were in
Samson,
Division
lads.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, but literally, Donegal and Armagh in the Division 2 final in 2024. Armagh win the All-Ireland that year, and Donegal get to the final the year after.
There you go.
Frankly, does not matter that they're in Division 2 right now. You have to look at the talent that they have. The Canavans, Owen McElhone, Darren McCurry, Peter Hart.
Owen McElhone for me will be young footballer of the year again.
It's unbelievable the level of
Peter
talent
Hart
they
might be a
have.
loss.
Yeah,
He's gone.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he's gone. He's a huge blow. But it's even still around the middle. Kilpatrick, Kennedy, they're still really, really strong. And that, if they get that blend right between the 2021 winning crop and this new crop, I think they'll be really, really good. I think Myler will be a blow as well. Conor Myler, he's not there. I think he offered a lot. But anyway, we'll move on now. That's Division 2 wrapped up. We'll take a little break and we'll come back with Division 3. Okay, so on we march on to Division 3. Lads, it's time to nail your colours to the mast again and pick your predictions. Matthew, I'll turn straight to you here and ask you to look down the lens. Your Division 3 predictions for 2026, what are you going with?
So 8th place, I've gone for Wexford. 7th place, I've gone for Laois. 6th, I've gone for Mana. 5th, Clare. 4th, Westmeath. 3rd, Limerick. 2nd, Sligo. And 1st, Down.
Okay, question time, folks. My first question, I'm going to go Clare 5th is one that I think would surprise a few.
I just feel like that team, their kind of luck has come to an end. I'll be honest with you. I just feel like, look, they didn't get the Munster draw they deserved. There'd be a lot more pressure on Clare to go up this season. There's new management, obviously. Peter Keane has left the job. I know Madden has done well at Clare Club in recent seasons, but is he the right man to come in and steer this Clare ship? I'm not entirely sure. Mark McInerney, the way he performed for Aero Guinness is a positive. I think that is a positive if he performs the likes of Iggy Muguero as well. But I feel like there's a lot better teams than Clare right now in Division 3. The likes of I know Westmeath have lost a lot of players, but I think the way they performed in Division 2 last year, they should have got more points than they did. Limerick got to the Talton Cup final, and I think that's much better for their development rather than Clare getting hammered each and every year in the All-Ireland. I think that will show this season. Sligo have a lot of potential, and obviously with Eamon O'Hara coming in there, I think there's a legend coming into the backroom team there, and I think they will get more of a confidence booster. And to be honest, Down, it's the same as Tyrone in Division 2 with Down. I think it's a question whether they'll win 7-7 or not. They'll finish top anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Sligo's a good shout as well, predicting them to get promoted. Like, they have had a huge amount of underage players come through in recent seasons. It hasn't quite clicked yet, but what's your thinking behind Sligo getting promoted?
I think the management they have brought in is a positive. Eamon O'Hara's coming in, obviously with Desi Sloan as well as an excellent appointment, and I think they'll work very well together as well. I think Tony McAtee has got the building blocks there for Sligo to push on. And you have some excellent players across the pitch from a Sligo point of view. It'll be interesting to see if Canis Mulligan gets a regular start this season. I think Luke Barron from DCU was a very talented footballer. Will he get more minutes into the team? Pat Spillane Jr., obviously, he's an absolutely brilliant footballer there as well. Niall Murphy's still hanging about as well, as consistent as ever. I think they have a great blend of youth and experience, Sligo. And I think the way they put it up, I remember 2 years ago against Galway, if Galway didn't get a goal from Rob Finnerty, they wouldn't have got out of that game. I think Sligo are a very good side. They're progressing very well. They've been knocking the door maybe for years. I did predict Sligo to go up last year, and they started very, very badly. I think they would have learned from those experiences, and I think they could even go out this year. But I think for second place, generally, it's going to be very, very tough. Limerick, the confidence they got at the Talton Cup, they could easily be up there as well. Westmeath, the performance they've been giving, could be up there as well. I think from 2nd to 7th is very, very tight. Very tight. And Division 3 could be the most exciting division this season because probably of the unpredictability of it and the fact that Sam Maguire plays potentially could be on the line too.
Yeah, I think you make your case very, very strongly there as well. Liam, I'm coming to you next. What is your Division 3 pick for 2026?
So in 8th place I've gone for Laois. In 7th place I've gone for Limerick. In 6th place I've gone for Wexford. 5th place I've also gone for Clare. Fourth place I've gone for Fermanagh. Third place I've gone for Sligo. Second I've gone for Westmeath, and I've gone with Down to finish top and win the division.
Okay.
I think Limerick is very surprising.
Yeah.
Predicting them to go down.
I'm kind of feeling bad about it, and I'm kind of on the edge between them and Wexford. But I'm just thinking Limerick, I feel like they still rely very heavily on McNaughton. That's my only worry. I don't feel, look, they have some good players in around him, but I just feel like he gets nearly too many of their scores, which is never a bad thing. It's a great complaint to have that somebody gets a load of scores. Like, what did he get last year? I think 4-12 or something against
Scored 4 goals in the game. Or
Watford,
something,
something like that. Yeah, or like 12 points on top of that, or something like that. You know, and look, I do agree. I think they did really well in the Tailteann Cup last year to get to the final. I mean, the way that they won the semi-final was absolutely remarkable, and I think they performed very respectfully against a very good Kildare team as well. I just feel like maybe they could take a back seat potentially this year. I don't know what it is about it. I kind of feel bad for picking them there, and I'm nearly even thinking to myself, why am I not saying that they're going to stay up? But I just have a feeling maybe Wexford could catch them on a bad day, potentially. For the rest of them, I actually had Fermanagh in third originally, but the kind of points you were saying about Sligo, and I think last year's very bad start to the league campaign, they will not want to repeat that this year. And they have a lot of really good underage players. They have the Strandhill players come back this year as well, which they wouldn't have had some of them last year, considering they're running the All-Ireland. Fermanagh, for me, I just feel like they have to surely at some stage get it right in the league and actually take it seriously, to be honest with you. Because you saw them last year, they actually didn't do too bad. I think some of us even thought they'd finish second last year in Division 3, and then they just kind of flattered to deceive, to be honest with you. Do you know, they just didn't put in the type of performances that you'd hope that they would put in. But yeah, I've got them down in fourth. Kind of similar reasons with Matthew about Clare. I just feel like maybe their luck is probably running out, maybe, to be honest with you. And I feel like they'll have some very, very tough battles ahead of them. With Westmeath, they have lost some players, but I mean, any team that has a Luke Loughlin in there still has a fighting opportunity. He's still one of the finest footballers, not just in Leinster, but in the country. And look, McCabe is gone. I think Mark McHugh coming in this year is going to be a very positive change. You know, he's using a lot of players. They had a good win against Louth the other night. I know it is the O'Byrne Cup, you can't read too much into it a lot of time, but he's getting every player involved. He said himself, it's no good having just 15, we want 26, you know, and I think there's a lot of really good promising footballers in Westmeath. I think they'd be good enough to make a return to Division 2. I think they lost games last year in ways that they really shouldn't have lost, to be honest with you. Like, I mean, what did they lose to you by a point down in Cork? Yeah. They threw the Meath game away. They performed respectfully well against Monaghan, you know, and they went out to Wicklow, and I still don't know how they did, to be honest, in the Tailteann Cup. I think they should have won that. They were very unlucky not to beat Kildare in the Leinster Championship. They could easily have been the ones taking on, you know, Meath in a Leinster final last year. You know, they would have fancied their chances against Louth. So I think they were a very good team. I could see them having a good campaign. See you later, Leash. You're finishing 8th, sorry. Sorry, lads.
From an awfully man, I wasn't expecting that.
No surprise there.
And for Down, I think if they have Oran Murdoch for the league campaign, I think they'll absolutely sweep to it, to be honest. I think Oran Murdoch's going to be one of the big standout players this year as well. I was really impressed with him last year, and I think Down have a really good squad coming through, really good panel, really good manager, and yeah, I can see them winning. Again, I won't say maybe 7 out of 7. I feel like there could be maybe one slip up. Maybe, you know, as they head towards the end of the campaign, maybe they might try and bring in a couple of players, maybe last game, whatever. But I can see them winning it quite comfortably.
That's one thing that we seem to all agree about is Down finishing top, unless you've gone different.
Yeah.
Well, do you want to give your predictions here? So, Aaron, what have you got for Division 3 2026?
Yeah, so I've got Laois in 8th, Wexford in 7th, Clare in 6th, Westmeath in 5th, Sligo in 4th, Fermanagh 3rd, Limerick 2nd, and Down 1st.
Questions, boys? Open the floor up.
You, Clare, are lower than me and Liam as well, so you've more criticism for them.
I didn't want to jump in too much, but I agree with you. Like, I think Clare have lost like a lot of good players. Like, they've no Keelan Sexton there as well now this season. Change in management as well. I thought it was a weird time for Peter Keane to leave as well, given the fact that I think if he stuck around, a lot more players would have stuck around, and I think they probably would have been one of the teams to get promoted. So I think they might struggle a little bit in all honesty. It is worth mentioning as well, like I think there'll be very little, like I agree with Matthew as well, like I've actually got 4 points in the difference between 2nd and 8th. So I think there'll be very, very little between a lot of them. But I like Limerick. I think they've made a lot of progress last season. It's worth mentioning last time they got promoted from Division 4 to 3, they actually went straight up to 2. And I think they're going to do it again, to be honest with you. With McNaughton, with Emmett Richter, Ian Corbett, Danny Neville. I think the structure of how they play under Jimmy Lee as well allows them to win a lot of these games, in my opinion. And I think there is question marks. Like, obviously, you have a new manager in Sligo, new manager in Westmeath. Fermanagh have been very inconsistent in recent seasons, so I just don't really trust them, to be honest. I think Wexford lack the firing power. They don't. You look at a lot of these teams. A lot of them have big 2-pointers and players who can kind of step up. I don't think Wexford have too many of them. And Laois, unfortunately, I've seen them in the flesh, kind of in pre-season. They had the majority of their players playing, and they probably lost to Dublin's maybe 4th or 5th team quite comfortably. So I think they'll struggle and finish 8th.
Yeah, I'm going to give my predictions now down the lens. I'm going to say this. So my Division 3 picks for 2026, I'm gone with Down to finish top, Westmeath in 2nd, Limerick in 3rd, Sligo in 4th, Clare in 5th, Fermanagh in 6th, Laois in 7th, and Wexford in 8th. Open up.
I'm kind of regretting my Limerick prediction.
Any questions on my table? Down, Westmeath, Limerick,
we do seem to be
Sligo,
going to be
Clare,
in
Fermanagh.
agreement with a lot of them, yeah.
We seem to be in agreement. I think as well, I think maybe it would surprise a couple of people seeing Fermanagh in 6th. But I just think
But they're that
they've
inconsistent.
flattered to deceive too often, and I've backed them. And I think as well, Kieran Donnelly not being the manager.
Yeah.
I think he was a very good manager for Fermanagh.
There was an argument though to say that Declan Bonner's an upgrade.
Yeah.
There is and there isn't.
Yeah, but it's in like maybe in terms of like the level that he's managed at and stuff like that. And, you know, he's got Donegal to an Ulster title and everything like that. But that's a very, very good Donegal team, right? That was a Donegal team that had Michael Murphy and McBrearty and players that. And I'm not diminishing what Bonner did. But Murphy doesn't need a manager. Like Michael Murphy knows how to manage himself. You have to work with players like that. McBrearty doesn't need a manager to tell him what to do. And that Donegal team, to be honest, I think could have won more than the one All Ireland that they did. They probably should have won more.
2014 probably stands to mind.
That's the one. Or when they won back-to-back Ulsters in the middle of Dublin's 5 in a row run, like that they didn't push on and even get to an All Ireland final still is surprising to me. And that's, as a Donegal fan, I'd be thinking, wouldn't have been great if Jim McGuinness had come back then and not come back when Murphy's halfway out the door.
8-6 in Crow Park in 2019.
I genuinely, I strongly believe that Donnelly is a fantastic coach, and I think it was emphasised by the fact that when he managed Ulster in the FRC games and he was given those like that next level of quality with the Ulster players, they romped to the competition, like absolutely were the best team in that competition. And I think he had a good part to play in it. He's gent. I think his departure, I think, will hit them more than people would expect. But yeah, that's Division 3. All predicted and bravely previewed because, as we said, it's an unpredictable division. We'll take a little break and we'll come back with Division 4. Now we're moving on to the Division 4 official National Football League predictions, and I've kind of let the lads bravely lead from the front the other divisions. So I myself am going to go first with my predictions this time. So Division 4 for 2026, I have gone with Wicklow in first place. I've gone with Antrim in second place. I've gone with Longford in third, Carlow in 4th, Tipperary in 5th, Leitrim in 6th, Waterford in 7th, and London in 8th place. Lads,
main question
open the
there.
floor.
Leitrim 6th.
Leitrim in 6th place. Yeah. I feel like they are going backwards under Poacher right now. I think they hired at the time, right at the moment where Gaelic football became all about attacking and all about open, expansive football. Leitrim hired one of the most defensive coaches the game's seen in the last 10 years, just at that turn. And I think the knock-on effect of that was evident. Last year in the league, they were all over the place. They forfeited a game, and like that never happens. And in the championship, they did really nothing. And then you're looking at, so far this year, they've had their first game in the FBD league against Roscommon, not Roscommon's full team, and a lot of Leitrim's big dogs were out. And they got hammered.
They've lost I
really believe that under Poacher, I think it's chalk and cheese. He was always a defensive coach, and now the game has become so attack based. Like, I don't doubt that he's an intelligent guy, but I think it's more like he needs someone alongside him, like the role that Andy Moran had with Monaghan. He needs someone to handle the attacking side of the game, because he is a defensive coach as far as I'm concerned. The first time I got to know Poacher was when he came in with Carlow and he under Turlock O'Brien, and they were the Carlow Rising era and everything. But let's be honest, as exciting as it was very, very defensive football.
Yeah.
Extremely defensive football. And I think we're in an era now where defensive football will get you nowhere. And I think we're seeing the signs with Leitrim. I think they'll have a poor enough Division 4. I think they'll finish 6th. It's a brave one, but That's what I'm going with.
I mean, I think they'll finish 7th.
Oh, wow.
I completely agree with you. I think once you're on a downward spiral, you're on a downward spiral, to be honest with you. I don't see them having any luck this year in the league, to be honest. I could see London finishing above them. To be honest, I think London have been doing well over the last couple of years. They've been improving a bit as well. And yeah, I just don't trust Leitrim at the moment. I thought they were probably the worst team in the country last year in the league campaign, but they were in Division 3.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But again, I think when you're down, you're down. It's like, I think I had Antrim originally saying the champions, but then I think Wicklow, the season they had last year, were very, very strong. Played some very good football. I think McConville has turned that county around so much, and he gets really good work out of every player in there. The likes of Dean Healy, one of the best. I really like Dean Healy as a player. It's nearly unfortunate that he doesn't have something to show for his career at the moment. But I think this would be very nice if they won Division 4. I think they're going to do it.
Okay. Aaron, do you want to give us your predictions for Division 4?
Yeah, so in first I've gone for Wicklow, second I've gone for Antrim, third I've gone for Leitrim, fourth I've gone for Tipperary, fifth I've gone for Carlow, sixth is Longford, seventh is London, and eighth is Waterford.
Well, I'm going to ask straight away there, Longford in sixth.
Yeah, I just don't think they've really progressed in the last couple of seasons. Like, they've been around this kind of level. When you look at them in the Tailteann Cup last year, did very little. A lot of players not making themselves available. Mike Solan, the manager, seems to be having the same problems that Paddy Christie had. Can't seem to get players to commit to the team. And look, I think Paddy Christie is a brilliant coach. He's done a lot of brilliant work in Dublin. I think Mike Solan might be a brilliant coach in Mayo as well. Like, he was with the under-20s for a couple of years. I think it's just where Longford are at. There just doesn't really seem to be much motivation to really play for Longford football at the moment. I don't know if maybe the best thing to do is to actually get a Longford man in to kind of galvanise the county a little bit, but who
Like
would you go for?
Paul Barden or something?
Yeah, someone of that nature. So yeah, I don't think Longford are in a great position at the moment.
Is this O'Byrne Cup Longford or League Longford? Because I mean, it's two
Yeah, well,
completely.
it's
They were gone, so
It's interesting. I did see someone say, actually, well, technically Longford are still unbeaten in the O'Byrne Cup.
That's true, actually. Yeah, that's true.
They could end the competition as the only unbeaten team, especially if there's rounds and stuff. Liam will get your Division 4 predictions.
So I've gone for Waterford in 8th, I've gone for Leitrim in 7th, London in 6th, Tipperary 5th, Longford 4th, Carlow in 3rd, Antrim 2nd, and Wicklow champions in 1st.
We've all three of us have gone for Wicklow and Antrim 1st and 2nd. It's an interesting one.
Carlow could be a team that could potentially, but then Carlow are also... They're a funny one as well. They're a team that could easily beat Offaly in the Leinster Championship, but then they could go out and get spanked by another team. That's lower them. So I don't know. Carlow, they have a lot of nice footballers. I will admit that. I do like some of the footballers. I like that O'Loughlin team that won the Carlow Championship as well. Very defensive-minded team, I will say that, which kind of hurt the eyes, to be honest, in that game against Port Arlington. But yeah, I just don't trust them to get the better of Wicklow or Antrim, but I think they're the best of the rest at the moment.
Yeah. Matthew, can we get your predictions?
So in 8th place, I've gone for Waterford. In 7th, I've gone for London. 6th, Carlow. 5th, Longford. 4th, Leitrim. 3rd, Tipperary. 2nd, Antrim. And 1st, Wicklow.
You've all gone for Wicklow and Antrim 1st and 2nd. I think I'm expecting a good year from Wicklow. I'm expecting them to get up. Is there any playing devil's advocate apart from Carlow? Are we writing off Tipperary? The expectations about Tipperary have fallen off a cliff.
They have, but there's some very good young players in Tipperary. There are coming up. I think Charlie King from UL is a very good halfback. I don't know, will he play underage this year for Tip? You have players of the minor and under 20 that are really performing. The question for Tipperary is, will they go off playing hurling?
That's my worry with them.
That's the thing. But obviously there'll be a bit of an emotional kind of thing with Tipperary this year, obviously, with the passing of Philly Ryan. So look, I think Tipperary will have a decent enough league campaign. They'll try to get up to where they want to be, because Tipperary should be Division 2, Division 3. They have exceptional footballers in the county. The problem is getting the footballers to play for the county. Like, if Mickey Quinlan was playing for Tip this year, you could argue they'd be top 2.
On Division 4, I think he's good enough that if he was playing, I think if they had Jason Lonergan in, I think if they had Seamus Kennedy playing, anytime I've seen Seamus Kennedy playing for Clonmel, he always strikes me as like that guy looks like one of the best defenders in Tipperary, and he's playing with the hurlers. So there definitely is, and they've an opposite issue to what we have in Dublin, where most of the players in Dublin that are dual stars always pick the football or have done over the last 2 years, whether it's Con or whether it's Kieran Kilkenny or whether it's Lee Gannon. But I genuinely believe that there is talent there in Tip, and I wouldn't be stunned if they got promoted. I wouldn't be stunned. And if I was going to pick, I'd pick them to get in ahead of Antrim. Yeah, that would be what I would be tipping.
And you have players like Sean O'Connor, Daithí Hogan as well, who was with the 20s last season. So like I was originally looking at Tipperary as one of the teams, but I do think like when you look at Wicklow, like in the last couple of seasons, like beating Westmeath in back-to-back seasons, once in Leinster, like should have beat Kildare that year a couple of years ago. In Leinster as well. It was kind of a madness that they didn't get promoted last year. Like they actually lost to London on the opening day, which was a bit of a bizarre one. And I think Antrim, like they've enough quality there, I think, to bounce back.
Thank you for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure, lads. I can't wait to watch this back in a couple of months through our fingers, but it's been an absolute pleasure. Until the next one, guys, do keep an eye out. We have one coming for hurling, we have one coming for the LGFA, and we also have a live one on our YouTube channel coming for the Camogie with a special guest. The Camogie one is starting, of course, in mid-February. Keep an eye out for them. But until then, ta-ra.